So since last week we worked on our upper body, and again the feedback on the videos is really amazing, so I will be doing this at least once a week. So this week we're going to be targeting our lower body, specifically our legs and our glutes, and of course, since it's hard to isolate, our spinal erectors are going to be targeted also, which is very beneficial, especially for people who have lower back pain or who lack a little bit of back mobility and who do not have too much control over their hip movement and their pelvic tilt. So let's get right into the workout.
Now, as always, we're going to start with the easiest exercise first and work our way up to harder and harder exercises. As for the resistance, we talked about resistance the last video, but I will recommend it again depending on how you want to work. We're going to get to this in the very end of the video. As for the first exercise, we want to start slowly, just warming up a little bit and just getting a little bit more flexibility and a little bit of a stretch also in the back side of our legs, because moving on from here, we're going to start working on our anterior chain. Have your feet shoulder width apart and your toes just slightly outward rotated, and we're going to be doing classic squats basically. So you're just pushing away. The only difference here is that we are at the very top of the movement, extending our feet as much as we can, so we have more gastrocnemius and soleus as well as foot inclusion. Now we can make the exercise harder, but instead of adding resistance, we're gonna work with just one side. The benefit of this is that we have a static contraction on the left side, even though we're not moving the leg, and on the right side, we are doing our exercise as intended. So switch from the right to the left and add the static hold on each leg. Now we can make it a little bit harder by including some more of our gluteus medius and our ventral glutes. As you can see on the side here, you're gonna feel it. If you put your hands there, the more you rotate your legs and your feet outward in the extension movement, the more you have inclusion of the side of your butt basically. So that will depend totally on your mobility in your hips, and now we can increase the coordination of the exercise by doing full circular motions with our knees. As you can see on the left side, I am opening up in the extension phase and closing down in the negative movement phase. And since the last exercises were mostly focusing on our anterior chain with the legs, so the front part of our legs, we're now going to move to the back part. So strap in, literally pull in one leg, and now we want to use the extension in our leg to have long range of motion for our biceps femoris, the back side of our leg, and for our glutes. It depends totally on your mobility again, how far you can pull inwards with your extended leg. You're not supposed to have any pain in your knee, keep that in mind, and you want to try to use full range of motion because you're going to have a little bit of a stretch at the end of the movement, which is always a nice bonus to have when it comes to your workout. And for this exercise, the stretch is pretty easy to hold. You're gonna just let the resistance do the work, pull you a little bit more into a stretch, and then you're gonna contract the back side of your leg and pull your body all the way. And with all exercises, it's better to start out with low resistance if you've never done it before, just to try it out. And if you find that you are stable enough to do the exercise, then go for more resistance if you want to. Which directly leads us to the next exercise. So we're gonna strap in our other foot again. We're gonna pull our leg in and turn our foot and our knee outward to again target more the side of our glutes. And the more exterior rotation mobility you have in your leg and in your femur, the more you're gonna feel the outside of your butt contracting with this exercise. Now, keep in mind with this one, you're gonna need a lot of stabilization. If you don't have the strength to straighten your leg and it keeps moving left side, right side and shaking, then by all means reduce the resistance and try to stay as stable as you can. You can even work a little bit more explosive or slow it down, but it's very important to have this stability so you don't hurt yourself in your hips or in your hip joint. Of course, we're gonna do both sides, and you can see in the mirrors how much I turn out my knee and my foot, so I have this inclusion of my gluteus medius and my ventral glutes, as well as of course my quadriceps. And now the exercises are gonna get a little bit harder because we're gonna have much more flexion in our posterior chain because we're adding our glutes our spinal erectors, moving down to our gluteus, to our biceps femoris, gastrocnemius, and soleus by putting up our feet on our tiptoes. So we have a full flexion in our entire posterior chain, all the way from our spinal erectors to our tiptoes. Now, don't push away. We want to stay stationary, because if you stay stationary, you have much more range of motion. As you can see here, the more you push away, the more you're gonna have decreased range of motion. So stay on the inside, as well as only for this exercise, because with the glute bridges we're trying to stay on the inside. The more you increase the resistance for the exercise, the easier it's gonna become to stay there without moving away, which makes a lot of sense because the resistance is pulling you backwards and it's helping you to stay stationary. And then we're gonna make it harder again by isolating one side. For this, it's very important to stay parallel to the ground and try not to fall to the left side too much, which means you have to include a lot more core, because you have to stabilize your body and you have to stay parallel to the ground. Do your left side, do your right side, try to stay as stationary as possible. And now it's very important that between those exercises, at the very least, you want to have a nice little stretch on the whole posterior chain in your legs all the way to your glutes and your lower back, because some people start cramping up because they are not used to the heavy workload on their biceps femoris and on the backside of their legs. Sometimes they even cramp in their lower legs. So try and stretch it out all the way. It doesn't have to be a long pull. You don't have to pull it all the way. You can even hold it behind your knee or even just upwards in a 90-degree angle, which leads me to my absolute favorite 4-phased exercise. So we have 4 phases for this exercise, starting with the glute bridge. We already did that. And phase number 2 is going to be pushing away. So we have not just our posterior chain, but we have inclusion of our quadriceps by flexing it and pushing away. Now, starting at the shoulders, we want to put down our back vertebrae by vertebrae. So you have to tilt your pelvis, you have to crunch your abdomen, and you want to move down slowly, your butt touching down, the very last thing. And then stage 4 is returning to our starting position. So up, away, slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, your butt touches down the last, and then you move back all the way. Now, this exercise is a little bit harder than most of the exercises that we've done, but its benefits are also amazing because you're learning to tilt your pelvis forward and backward. You're learning to include your core as much as possible when you are moving your spine downward, and you have basically every single muscle from your tiptoes all the way up to your lower back and even to the middle of your back, and of course a stretch in between. And now we make it a little bit harder by raising one leg again. Now this time, instead of adding a static hold, I'm gonna put this leg on the other one, just so we don't have too many things to worry about and too many things to concentrate on. And now we have to stay parallel to the ground again. So this means you have more oblique inclusion in this exercise to stabilize you from turning to the left side too much or to the right side too much. So you're gonna start out with one leg, up, and away, slowly down. Your butt is the last thing to touch down with this exercise, so try to tilt it as much as possible, and then slowly return into your starting position. And with this exercise too, since there's a lot of stress on the backside of your leg, try to do a slow and a steady stretch in between before you go on to the next round or to the next exercise. And this is also the final exercise we're gonna do before we move back to a little bit more of something easier. So we're gonna extend our legs again, and we just want to raise one knee, switch it out, and raise the other knee. Let the resistance pull you into the stretch and relax the backside of your legs because you earned it. And I'm proud of you for working on yourself and for trying to learn some stuff, even if it's just online.
So that concludes our leg workout. I hope this was helpful. Again, for each exercise we're going to be going for 90 to 120 seconds. That is what I do in all my classes too. So we have it a little bit more structured and you can go through them. If you need a short break between exercises, you can do that, of course. I advise, however, to try and keep the breaks to a minimum and instead just reduce the resistance a little bit so you can over time build your way up to working for 30 to 40 minutes without breaks, and then you can start increasing the resistance. If you do, however, want to do more hypertrophy work and you want to build bigger musculature, you will have to increase the resistance drastically and work your way down to just 4 to 8 repetitions per exercise. Of course, that comes after warming up. So you have a lot of leeway and a lot of space to switch between what kind of workout you want to do. If it's more muscle endurance based, or if it's more hypertrophy based, or if you want to stay a little bit more in the middle. If you like the video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow because new videos every day. Captain Cairo, peace out.